implicit connotations. Well, I'm Elise from the Crowdfunded Translation Project, and wanted to just tell you a little bit about what that project is and give you some updates about what I've been doing with your support. The Inessa Armand project. After finishing Kalantai's social basis of the female question, I put out a call for suggestions for the next project. One of those suggestions that I received was to translate the essays and letters of Inessa Armand, Kalantai's predecessor at the Bolshevik Women's section. Suppressed by Stalin and never translated into English, Armand's writings enrich our understanding of the Bolshevik women's movement in the run-up to the October Revolution and the early days of revolutionary Russia. With your support, I have been able to translate all of her extant essays and am currently raising the last $1,950 to cover the cost of translating the remainder of her extant works, which at this point is just her correspondence. If you would like to support the project, all contributions are beautiful. You'll find links in the description. The Punto Final project is a project that is really just at its inception. Punto Final, for those unfamiliar with it, i.e. likely most of the people watching this right now, was a magazine edited by Manuel Caviese Donoso that ran from 1965 to the eve of the 1973 CIA-backed coup in Chile, and then from 1989 to 2018, publishing a grand total of 894 issues. In addition to being a platform for theoretical and ideological debate, they were also a source of excellent political journalism. Their real-time analysis of political developments in Chile, the rise of the Unidad Popular, the looming coup, and the limits of electoralism has aged extremely well, and is well worth reading for anyone interested in the period. The Indian left is sort of in a media bubble, and the Anglosphere left really doesn't do a great job of breaking that bubble and really building connections there. So the discussion that you hear in English about Chile, even in supposed left outlets, such as Jargon, often has little or nothing to do with the state of discussion amongst comrades in Chile. So this is part of my attempts to contribute to sort of breaking down that bubble and fostering some understanding of the thought amongst revolutionaries in Chile, both historically and currently. I have so far translated 7 articles, including a long read on electoralism versus armed struggle called Chile, the Ballot or the Bullet by Punto Final editor Manuel Caviese, and currently am working on various pieces of political analysis from the eve of the electoral campaign that would bring Salvador Allende to power, or at least to government. These include discussions of electoral versus revolutionary strategy and how and to what extent these things can coexist, discussions of US imperialist interference in Chilean politics, One of the challenges of this project, since its inception, has been getting the word out. The billionaire-controlled black box algorithms that dominate our lives don't like small creators or small projects. Nor are they particularly keen on ideological viewpoints that are inconsistent with the whims of billionaires. What's more, they positively detest anyone who isn't paying for reach. And then they turn around and make it ever harder to do even that in a useful way. The result of all this is that there are definitely considerably more people who would be interested in this project than actually see any of my posts about it. And that's why I have a small favor to ask you. Tell your friends about the crowdfunded translation project. Share the completed translations, link the Patreon and the Facebook pages. All those links are in the description. Let people know that this project exists and what it's all about. Let them know that I want to hear their ideas for future crowdfunded translation projects at crowdfunded_translations@elisehendrick.com. And if you've got any ideas, I'd love to hear them. Ultimately, the crowdfunded translation project is for us all. The whole idea is to translate texts that have fallen through the cracks by making it economically viable for a professional translator, i.e. me, to work on them and to make the results freely available to everyone. I think that a lot of great things are coming out of the project, and even more can result from it yet. But it all depends on making the project visible to the people who might benefit from it and consider supporting it. Thank you for watching for this length of time. I hope you found it interesting, and I hope that it will encourage you to get in touch with the crowdfunded translation project, look at our translations, to get in touch with, to get involved with the crowdfunded translation project. Make suggestions, read the translations, let people know that this exists. This could be a great resource, but it's been a real fucker trying to get the word out about it. So thank you very much. Even watching this and commenting and leaving a like and sharing it on your platforms, or even to yourself in an email apparently, will help increase the visibility of this video and thus of this project. Thanks so much, and see you on the next stream. Thank you very much. Even watching this and commenting and leaving a like and sharing it on your platforms, or even to yourself in an email apparently, will help increase the visibility of this video and thus of this project. Thanks so much, and see you on the next stream. Hey, implicit connotations. I'm Elise from the Crowdfunded Translation Project, and wanted to just tell you a little bit about what that project is and give you some updates about what I've been doing with your support. The Inessa Armand project. After finishing Kalantai's social basis of the female question, I put out a call for suggestions for the next project. One of those suggestions that I received was to translate the essays and letters of Inessa Armand, Kalantai's predecessor at the Bolshevik women's section. Suppressed by Stalin and never translated into English, Armand's writings enrich our understanding of the Bolshevik women's movement in the run-up to the October Revolution and the early days of revolutionary Russia. With your support, I have been able to translate all of her extant essays and am currently raising the last $1,950 to cover the cost of translating the remainder of her extant works, which at this point is just her correspondence. If you would like to support the project, all contributions are beautiful. You'll find links in the description. The Punto Final project is a project that is really just at its inception. Punto Final, for those unfamiliar with it, i.e. likely most of the people watching this right now, was a magazine edited by Manuel Caviese Donoso that ran from 1965 to the eve of the 1973 CIA-backed coup in Chile, and then from 1989 to 2018, publishing a grand total of 894 issues. In addition to being a platform for theoretical and ideological debate, they were also a source of excellent political journalism. Their real-time analysis of political developments in Chile, the rise of the Unidad Popular, the looming coup, and the limits of electoralism has aged extremely well, and is well worth reading for anyone interested in the period. The Chilean left is sort of in a media bubble, and the Anglosphere left really doesn't do a great job of breaking that bubble and really building connections there. So the discussion that you hear in English about Chile, even in supposed left outlets, such as Jargon, often has little or nothing to do with the state of discussion amongst comrades in Chile. So this is part of my attempts to contribute to sort of breaking down that bubble and fostering some understanding of the thought amongst revolutionaries in Chile, both historically and currently. I have so far translated 7 articles, including a long read on electoralism versus armed struggle called Chile, the Ballot or the Bullet by Punto Final editor Manuel Cabiese, and currently am working on various pieces of political analysis from the eve of the electoral campaign that would bring Salvador Allende to power, or at least to government. These include discussions of electoral versus revolutionary strategy and how and to what extent these things can coexist, discussions of US imperialist interference in Chilean politics, One of the challenges of this project, since its inception, has been getting the word out. The billionaire-controlled black box algorithms that dominate our lives don't like small creators or small projects. Nor are they particularly keen on ideological viewpoints that are inconsistent with the whims of billionaires. What's more, they positively detest anyone who isn't paying for reach. And then they turn around and make it ever harder to do even that in a useful way. The result of all this is that there are definitely considerably more people who would be interested in this project than actually see any of my posts about it. And that's why I have a small favor to ask you. Tell your friends about the crowdfunded translation project. Share the completed translations, link the Patreon and the Facebook pages. All those links are in the description. Let people know that this project exists and what it's all about. Let them know that I want to hear their ideas for future crowdfunded translation projects at crowdfunded_translations@elisehendrick.com. And if you've got any ideas, I'd love to hear them. Ultimately, the crowdfunded translation project is for us all. The whole idea is to translate texts that have fallen through the cracks by making it economically viable for a professional translator, i.e. me, to work on them and to make the results freely available to everyone. I think that a lot of great things are coming out of the project, and even more can result from it yet. But it all depends on making the project visible to the people who might benefit from it and consider supporting it. Thank you for watching for this length of time. I hope you found it interesting, and I hope that it will encourage you to get in touch with the crowdfunded translation project, look at our translations, to get in touch with, to get involved with the crowdfunded translation project. Make suggestions, read the translations, let people know that this exists. This could be a great resource, but it's been a real fucker trying to get the word out about it. So thank you very much. Even watching this and commenting and leaving a like and sharing it on your platforms, or even to yourself in an email apparently, will help increase the visibility of this video and thus of this project. Thanks so much, and see you on the next stream. Thank you very much. Even watching this and commenting and leaving a like and sharing it on your platforms, or even to yourself in an email apparently, will help increase the visibility of this video and thus of this project. Thanks so much, and see you on the next stream. Hey, implicit connotations. Well, I'm Elise from the Crowdfunded Translation Project, and wanted to just tell you a little bit about what that project is and give you some updates about what I've been doing with your support. The Inessa Armand project. After finishing Kalantai's social basis of the female question, I put out a call for suggestions for the next project. One of those suggestions that I received was to translate the essays and letters of Inessa Armand, Kalantai's predecessor at the Bolshevik Women's section. Suppressed by Stalin and never translated into English, Armand's writings enrich our understanding of the Bolshevik women's movement in the run-up to the October Revolution and the early days of revolutionary Russia. With your support, I have been able to translate all of her extant essays and am currently raising the last $1,950 to cover the cost of translating the remainder of her extant works, which at this point is just her correspondence. If you would like to support the project, all contributions are beautiful. You'll find links in the description. The Punto Final project is a project that is really just at its inception. Punto Final, for those unfamiliar with it, i.e. likely most of the people watching this right now, was a magazine edited by Manuel Caviese Donoso that ran from 1965 to the eve of the 1973 CIA-backed coup in Chile, and then from 1989 to 2018, publishing a grand total of 894 issues. In addition to being a platform for theoretical and ideological debate, they were also a source of excellent political journalism. Their real-time analysis of political developments in Chile, the rise of the Unidad Popular, the looming coup, and the limits of electoralism has aged extremely well, and is well worth reading for anyone interested in the period. The Indian left is sort of in a media bubble, and the Anglosphere left really doesn't do a great job of breaking that bubble and really building connections there. So the discussion that you hear in English about Chile, even in supposed left outlets, such as Jargon, often has little or nothing to do with the state of discussion amongst comrades in Chile. So this is part of my attempts to contribute to sort of breaking down that bubble and fostering some understanding of the thought amongst revolutionaries in Chile, both historically and currently. I have so far translated 7 articles, including a long read on electoralism versus armed struggle called Chile, the Ballot or the Bullet by Punto Final editor Manuel Caviese, and currently am working on various pieces of political analysis from the eve of the electoral campaign that would bring Salvador Allende to power, or at least to government. These include discussions of electoral versus revolutionary strategy and how and to what extent these things can coexist, discussions of US imperialist interference in Chilean politics, One of the challenges of this project, since its inception, has been getting the word out. The billionaire-controlled black box algorithms that dominate our lives don't like small creators or small projects. nor are they particularly keen on ideological viewpoints that are inconsistent with the whims of billionaires. What's more, they positively detest anyone who isn't paying for reach, and then they turn around and make it ever harder to do even that in a useful way. The result of all this is that there are definitely considerably more people who would be interested in this project than actually see any of my posts about it. And that's why I have a small favor to ask you. Tell your friends about the crowdfunded translation project. Share the completed translations, link the Patreon and the Facebook pages. All those links are in the description. Let people know that this project exists and what it's all about. Let them know that I want to hear their ideas for future crowdfunded translation projects at crowdfunded_translations@elisehendrick.com. And if you've got any ideas, I'd love to hear them. Ultimately, the crowdfunded translation project is for us all. The whole idea is to translate texts that have fallen through the cracks by making it economically viable for a professional translator, i.e. me, to work on them and to make the results freely available to everyone. I think that a lot of great things are coming out of the project, and even more can result from it yet, but it all depends on...
Hello, and welcome to Hyperpolyglotting with Elise, the stream where we'd actually kind of like to just learn all the languages. Just adjust that. I'm Elise, translator, writer, and editor with 20 working languages, and let's see what we are going to be looking at today. Let me just also make sure I'm not about to kill my hard drive. Yeah, okay, I'm good. I've been doing a whole bunch of CGI stuff, and it keeps making it temporarily look like my drive is totally full as opposed to being mostly full. Let me just get chat widget where I can see it. And okay. So this is something that showed up in my Recs and I'm kind of curious about. This is by Daria Garbunova, or Garbunova. I'm not sure exactly. But it's 12 countries that will pay you to learn their language. That sounds interesting to me. And I imagine it might sound interesting to others. So here's the link, which I'm dropping in chat. And we're just going to have a look at this.
If you're learning a foreign language right now, and in the back of your head, you always wanted to live abroad, maybe in the country where they speak the language that you're learning, or you want to learn, I think it's very easy to guess what's been stopping you.
And as always, let me know if I need to make any adjustments to the audio here.
Most of the time it's not motivation, especially if you're already learning the language, you have plenty of motivation, and
although motivation ebbs and flows, as we actually saw yesterday when we were watching Evil Dia's Dreaming Spanish update.
love for the language and the culture. Most of the time it's money and bureaucracy. That's what's stopping people and making them sit on their dreams to...
I mean, when it comes to actually going someplace, certainly. But I don't think those are necessarily the things that are primarily getting in people's way of just learning the language. Because learning the, I mean, money can certainly get in the way in terms of the fact that you have to go out and make some if you want to survive in this wonderful system we have. But, and not necessarily bureaucracy. I think there, actually, what really gets in the way for a lot of people is method and just knowing where to start a lot of the time. But, yeah, okay.
And to explore the world. Especially bureaucracy. It just feels too complicated to figure out which visa, which route should you take, and if we're...
Okay. But what I'm interested in is these countries that will pay you to learn their language. So I'm going to skip over this intro and see if we can get to that part. Because I'm...
but you know what? We gotta do it. This is what you need to do to become a better global citizen. So this was my biggest motivation when I was doing this research, because I want languages to be more accessible, and languages are supposed to be lived through.
Yeah, I mean, all things I tend to agree with. I don't know anything about this channel. I don't know anything about her, but so far seems sound enough. But what I really want... Okay, before we actually get to the list of opportunities, I want to get to the list of the opportunities. Okay. Okay, how not to get scammed and how to know that the opportunity is legit. That's certainly important.
Get scammed, how to know that the opportunity is legit. You need to look for 3 checks every time. Website has to be sitting on .gov website or an official embassy website, not some blog like mine.
Well, it depends. That definitely helps. Although, of course, the thing about a lot of these situations is you'll have governments that will contract these things out to third parties. So it won't necessarily... There may be links to it on official websites, but there won't necessarily... The actual presence of the course, for example, may be on something unofficial.
Go to the official website and look for the domain. 2. Is there an application fee? Most of the time, 99%, 99.9 government-funded language programs or any government-funded program will not ask you to pay any fee for the application.
Okay. I mean, I can't confirm that, but I mean, it seems likely.
Find the program being...
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely some governments out there that will nickel and dime the shit out of you. Just the amount, the amount of nickel and diming that happens with any kind of bureaucracy in Chile, for example, is wild.
Mentioned on the official website. If the program itself has a separate website, is it mentioned on the government or embassy website? If so, cool.
Okay, she makes the point I just made. Yeah.
As one of the checks, it's not real. Okay, let's go country by country with all the numbers, not just vibes. I will move a bit faster for the programs that you might have heard of because they're pretty famous, and then I will slow down on the ones that actually surprised me and I didn't know about them before doing this research.
Okay, finally, here's the bit. Okay.
Taiwan pays roughly $900 a month as a stipend to everyone who's participating in Huayu Enrichment Scholarship.
Interesting.
No money required at all, and I already wrote an entire post.
Okay, and I'm not sure what the... Let's see. Just going to look this up. There we go. What is the Huayu? Oh, Huayu, of course, Chinese language. That Hua. Okay, what is it? To encourage international students to study Mandarin Chinese in the Republic of China, Taiwan, the Ministry of Education has established the Huayu Enrichment Scholarship. 28,000 NTD, I guess she's saying that that's roughly equivalent to $900 US. Not sure what that works out to in terms of the cost of living in Taiwan. Foreign persons at least 18, graduated from secondary or studied at post-secondary level, excellent academic okay. Person who holds a Republic of China passport, previous recipients, someone currently studying in Taiwan. Okay, well, here's the application information. I'm just going to drop that in chat for anyone who might want it. But, okay, so there we go.
Post in my newsletter, so check it out if you're interested in Mandarin in Taiwan. Next is Germany. Germany public universities don't even charge
Die Deutsche Akademische Austauschdienst.
fee most of the time.
True.
And on top of that, there are a bunch of DOT scholarships that are willing to sponsor your language learning in the country. China's Confucius Institute scholarship covers your language learning, tuition, housing, and gives you a stipend, roughly $350.
Oh, I'm not again, The question, I mean, that doesn't sound like much, but of course it depends on how much you can live on in China. And I have no idea. I've heard that actually the cost of living is extremely cheap compared to here. So maybe $350 is really comfortable, but I have no idea.
Across more than 150 universities, with options from 1 semester to a full year. Japan's mixed scholarship.
Mixed scholarship. Okay. Types. Okay, 7 types of scholarships. Young Leaders Program. Okay, some of them require the embassy to recommend you. Level of studies, postgraduate. Okay, 2 of them are postgrad, 1 of them is undergrad. Duration. Okay, let's see. Irregular course within 2 years. Standard school year, 6 months. Preliminary education added. Japanese language training. Medicine, dentistry, pharmacy, vet science. Okay. Travel allowance, it includes round-trip travel for Japan. And it appears there's a stipend. Nice. Okay, dropping this in chat.
Pretty famous one, but most of us hear about it in the realm of bachelor's degree, master's degree. But did you know that they also have a language-only track? I didn't. They're paying about 145,000 yen a month on top of covering
A language-only track. Okay, interesting.
Airfare. Korea's JKS scholarship, the one that I applied this year, and I didn't get the scholarship, but I did get into university. I got into a Korean university for my master's in education counseling, but the scholarship didn't go through. At least now I know the system inside out because I actually went to Korea to apply in person with all of my papers prepared. It was such a journey, guys. Now I know everything about the process. Maybe I will reapply next year, who knows?
Okay.
We don't know. But yeah, it's one of the best scholarships, very generous, they're covering everything for you. But it is built around a degree, so it's not only a language program. They cover an entire year.
Okay, and that seems to be
For you to dedicate
quite
yourself
the other ones seem to be primarily built around degrees as well, although.
in Korean, and they pay around $800, $900 a month. Okay, these 5 programs are pretty famous, so if you ever wanted to find an opportunity like this, you heard of them. But
Now, of course, the lesser-known languages and lesser-known programs, I have not watched this, so I don't know what she's going to be talking about here. You probably have a better chance of getting into those.
about the next 4 that you probably haven't heard of. Maybe you have. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Are you interested in learning Indonesian? There's an
Okay.
entire program for you. It's called, how's it called?
Dharma Siswa.
Siswa, and it has been running since 1974. And it's not even about a degree, it's about funding you to learn about everything, about language and the culture of the country. They pay you about $290 a month, and it's open to more than 111 countries. I have never seen
Okay.
anywhere
Again, I mean, what would be really useful here is some idea of what $290 a month actually will, how far that will get you in Indonesia.
we don't talk about it, probably because the language is not the most popular one, but I'm a big fan of this program in particular because they
A lot of people speak it, though. I mean, the population of Indonesia is actually rather huge.
they emphasize the importance of the culture, so language culture embedded into each other. Next one is super generous. Turkey Burslari. It's
Okay.
the most dangerous one and might be the most competitive.
She really needed to check these subs. It says it's the most dangerous one, which I can see how it got that. It kind of sounds like she said that, but what she actually said was generous. So, Daria, поосторожнее с субтитрами.
As well. Over 165,000 people apply every year for only 5,000 spots. That's my university's acceptance rate. 2 to 5%. Okay, Minerva University's acceptance rate is what? 2 to 3%? But if you do get in, you get full tuition, free housing, round-trip flight, health insurance, monthly stipend between 4,500 and 9,000 lira, depending on your degree level. And you do not need to apply to a university separately. They place you. Next one is
Okay.
so cool. I really like the name they came up with. It's called
Serbia.
World in Serbia. It's open to 127 countries, definitely World in Serbia, the widest eligibility on the list, with a free, intense Serbian course before your degree starts, plus tuition.
Okay.
housing, meals, insurance.
Okay, now I'm curious about this one. Let's see what we can find out in addition. Okay. Actively implements programs as well as Serbians. Part of the World in Serbia projects, foreign students are allowed to study free of charge at universities in the Republic of Serbia that were founded by the state, including all study programs and study levels. Scholarship enables the realization of the right to free education in the Republic of Serbia in accordance with the selection of candidates, accommodation, and food in the student standard system. Okay, in Beograd, Novi Sad, Niš, and Kragujevac. So the major cities, really. Okay, so what does she have to say?
Stipend around $160. With this opportunity, I feel like I found treasure. I spent a lot of hours actually researching it, so I feel nervous sharing it. It is India's ICCR. They run more than 20 different scholarship schemes. Tuition, housing, stipend, airfare. But every single scheme I looked at, they had some sort of age cap, but one. Hindi, Sanskrit, and Indian performing arts. No upper limit at all. The previous
Okay.
ones that I mentioned, they were at 30-35, because these programs are usually meant for global youth mobility. But
okay.
But this one, no age restrictions. And if you've been following, there's 3 more to go. I'm gonna go a bit faster for them. Next up, we've got Romania. Romania might be the easiest application process because you apply directly on the website. No middlemen involved, which is great. It includes a free language year, and they're paying you a stipend around 170 to 120 euros.
Okay, although, can you get by on 170 to 220 euros in Romania? The thing about the Eurozone is that it is actually, to a great extent, eliminated any kind of cost of living advantage that one might have had.
Poland's Banach, I hope I say correctly.
Banach?
Banach. They will pay you 2,500 zloty a month, plus a one-time travel allowance. But it is restricted to only 36 different countries. And the countries are very specific. They have to be under their development aid list. So that...
Okay.
From 15 to 27, Arabic-only track, through a big program that's called EG Aid, open to any nationalities, ages from...
Okay, so Egypt. Okay, so interesting stuff there. But let's move on. Okay, Days and Words has another video that looks like it's going to be good value. How to find audiobooks in your target language. So I'm just going to have a quick look at that. Days and Words
So how do you find
pretty much always has worthwhile stuff when he puts out a video. Very well made and generally, yeah, quite sound in terms of ideas. I'm gonna drop a link in chat for anyone who wants to see the whole thing.
I get this question all the time because I talk about audiobooks all the time. My name's Lamont, this channel is called Days and Words, and I do language learning stuff on this channel. I am not guaranteeing anything in this video, but I know that I have found and am able to find audiobooks in at least 30 languages, which would cover like 99.3% of you.
Okay. I mean, I will say you can get quite a few different languages on just like US or British Audible. Although it really varies. And one of the most absolutely frustrating things is that there is a mismatch a lot of the time between ebooks and the related audiobooks. What I mean is, I'll be looking for an Italian audiobook and the ebook to follow along because it's what I like to do, or some other languages, when I'm trying to get ready for bed, and I'll find the ebook is available on Audible, but the the audiobook is available on Audible, but you can't get the ebook, the Kindle book on Amazon. Or you can get the, Kindle book, but you can't get the audio book. And there's lots of things like that. It makes it a real pain in the ass, especially if you are looking for new authors you're not familiar with.
watching this video. So I am sorry to the people studying more obscure languages like Kurdish or something where there really are no audiobooks. I'm not talking to you guys and suggesting that no matter your situation, I will be able to find an audiobook for you. I am talking to the more than 99% of you who are studying something reasonably common. And chances are, even if you think the language you're studying is really obscure, it actually does have audiobooks. It's probably not as obscure as you think, because I get questions.
Yeah, it might be more challenging to actually source. There may be fewer available, and it might be difficult to source quality ebooks and stuff like that if you want to read along. But yeah, pretty much everybody has some kind of audiobooks at this point.
All the time about finding audiobooks in languages that I'm like, dude, that has heaps of audiobooks. Believe it or not, I've had this question for Swedish. If you don't know, Swedish is the main foreign language that I speak. There is an audiobook of everything in Swedish, okay? In this video, I'm going to go through how to find them in all languages, the service that I use, and then if
Now, one thing to note is with some of them you have to get local services. Like I have Finnish audiobooks on something called L-Libs. And so you end up having to open a whole lot of separate accounts if you're doing multiple languages that are not covered on something like Audible or Amazon or whatever.
Is Storytel. Now, Storytel is a Swedish company, but they have audiobooks in a lot more than just Swedish. In total, across their catalog for all countries, I think they have audiobooks in something like 46 to 50 languages. I'm not sure exactly, but it's a little bit complex as to where you can access the different languages.
Oh, wonderful.
And
I love it when it's complex as to where you can access it. That is one of the most wonderful things about our time. That is the nice thing about having physical media, I have to say. You buy physical media, you could just use it everywhere.
how much it costs and everything. Oh, and I forgot to say, I'm not sponsored by Storytel. There is no affiliate link or anything. I do not have any kind of working relationship with Storytel. Okay, so I said that Storytel has audiobooks in something like 50 languages. The complexity is that my service, for example, is through Finland. And you would think, okay, so they have books in like Finnish and English, or do they have books in all 50?
Wait, do they specifically not have books in Finnish?
50 languages? Neither. They have books in, I think it's 11 languages, and it's kind of predictable, I guess you'd say, as to which languages which countries have. So from Finland, you get Finnish, English, Swedish, Estonian, and that all makes sense, but then they don't have Danish, and I'm not exactly
Yeah, that's a bit odd.
sure why. Whereas if you sign up through Norway, you get Norwegian and English. Now, I haven't checked for a while, but I don't think you get anything else. It's just Norwegian. You would think Norwegian would also have Swedish, but it doesn't work like that. And you might...
Yeah, that is a bit surprising. Danish is offered through Germany, but not Sweden. Well, I mean, Danish is a co-official language in part of Germany, in Schleswig-Holstein, so that doesn't entirely surprise me, but, like, what about Denmark?
think, well, that's
Is Denmark not on there?
relevant to me because I'm learning French, so surely I should just sign up through France. Not necessarily, because there are different licensing restrictions in different countries, and France, and this is somewhat predictable, has the tightest license regulations. So again, this is last I checked, this information is
Oh, God, yeah.
old, but they have the tightest listening limit per month. So if you want French and you, for example, sign up through Belgium, it's a similar price or maybe even a lower price, but you might get 100 hours per month.
Okay, this is Dutch. Luisterboeken. E-books categorieën.
Which is more than most people would ever use, or it might even be unlimited. You can also get French through Finland, and again, I haven't checked recently whether the Finnish subscription or the Belgian subscription is cheaper, but that's the kind of thing we're talking. If you really look
I mean, it's true that I've never used Storytel. I've heard good things about Storytel, but like this is a whole thing. It is one of the real pains in the ass of modern life that you can actually kind of maximize these things, but then you have to put together a whole damn Excel table to work out, okay, most hours per month that you get, because apparently it's done in terms of hours per month, which I have to say, I mean, I prefer to actually just like have the book and be able to use it anytime I want, but yeah, but then you have to like chart that against licensing restrictions, and you have to chart that against fucking the monthly fee and all this bullshit.
the best value subscription for a certain language, it can be quite hard to find. So like it's complex enough when we're just talking about which countries have which languages, but then there's also, if you're considering value and what you get for your money, there's also offers to consider. So you're watching this video today and you might go to Storytel Sweden and they're not offering anything, but then you go to Storytel Denmark, which is actually a different name, it's called Mofibo or something, but it is Storytel.
Oh, okay, so they do have Denmark, so there, one would assume you can get Danish through there.
And they're offering a better price than Sweden, and they're still offering Swedish as a language. So that's the kind of stuff you might want to take into account.
Though another complexity is they might be offering Swedish as a language, they're not necessarily going to be offering the same catalog, though. That's another thing you'd have to check.
And so for the people who are trying to use everything I say about any language to guess what language I'm learning at the moment, who are now thinking, aha, you've got a Finnish Storytel subscription, that tells us something. It doesn't tell you anything, because I signed up for my Finnish Storytel subscription like 3 years ago, and the reason I signed up, and I've never turned it off, is that the offer was half whatever the actual price was in perpetuity as long as you don't turn it off. That, to me, is absolutely worth it.
It makes sense.
And from Finland, you get 11 different languages. So I think it's pretty good value for me. But if you're not learning any of the languages that they have, or even if you're learning one of the more common languages that they have, like
how's everybody doing in chat? Can you hear everything okay?
Latin American Spanish, you're not going to want a Finnish subscription. You could get a Colombian subscription at about half, or maybe even slightly less than half that price, and still get Latin American Spanish.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, lots of it. Of course, one of the things that I've found, I have to say, in Latin American audiobooks, is that doesn't necessarily mean you get actually speakers of the type of Spanish that is actually represented in the text of the book. Like, I got a Chilean audiobook with a reader who I think was possibly Colombian, and I ended up not finishing it because it was just, he pronounced all the people's names wrong and stuff, because they aren't the sorts of names that you find very often in Colombia, but they're very common names in Chile. And so it ended up just really grating. So you have to be a little bit careful with these things.
On screen as to what price.
Like, just because you have an ebook that is written in Argentina and set in Argentina does not mean you won't get a Mexican reader who is not familiar with any of the, Argentine slang or anything.
Roughly in USD the current subscriptions are, because I realized I just said half the price of a Finnish subscription, but actually that would not be a full priced Finnish subscription. I'm pretty sure that a Colombian subscription would not work out to 10 euros a month. It would be less than that. So if you're learning Latin American Spanish and you're interested in learning your language through audiobooks, then it's a really good deal. While editing this, I happen to see that the German subscription has a great deal of
€9.45 a month for 6 months, then $18.90.
the moment. Until the 13th of August, you can get 3 months for free. There is a 20-hour per month limit, but it's free. So, or if you know that this is something you want longer term than that, you can get 6 months with unlimited hours for €9.50 a month, which is not the cheapest thing in the world, of course, but Germany offers a lot of languages. Again.
And then it doubles to like $18.90 after the 6 months.
I'm not affiliated with Storytel in any way. If you want to use those 3 months for free and then unsubscribe before you're charged anything, then do it. I've done this before as well. Basically, what you're best doing is finding the country that is cheapest or offers the best value subscription in terms of hours listening a month that you're going to use, that offers the language you're going to learn. So,
I mean, it's like, yes, I mean, everything he's saying makes perfect sense, but it's just, like, the sheer amount of effort that has to go in to figuring out how to get screwed the least on one of these deals and still get the things that you're actually looking for is really quite remarkable, I have to say. It's like,
if you're learning Latin American Spanish, either Colombia or Mexico is probably the best idea. If you're learning European Spanish, then Spain is going to be the best idea. Or it could be cheaper through, say, Belgium. Okay, so clarifying what I'm saying here. Some releases, very few, but some are big enough that they'll have multiple dialect versions. It might differ only in its narration, or it could be the translation itself that's actually different, like one Latin American Spanish version and one European Spanish version. And if you sign up through a European country and there are differing Spanish versions, you'll only get the European one.
Yeah. Because there's licensing in there as well.
If there is, say, one Flemish translation or reading and one Netherlands version, I found that you'll get both of these. But that Spanish thing won't restrict you from other content in general. So if there was, say, a Peruvian autobiography read by the author, you'll still have access to that with a European subscription because there isn't a European Spanish version. I've also had people say, hey, you recommended Storytel, I signed up to get books in Swedish, and when I look at the book I want in Swedish, it says that it's not available where I am because I'm in the USA. To my experience, 99.9% of the time, that is solved through a VPN. And I know you're thinking this is a VPN sponsorship. It's not.
I was gonna say
sponsored by Surfshark VPN in the past, but this video is certainly not sponsored by them. Getting region blocked stuff on Storytel has never been a problem for me.
That's good to know.
They're even really trying to stop you from getting it. They're probably just fulfilling contractual obligations.
Although, like, fuck anything to do with J.K. Rowling, though. Nothing that gives her money. Nobody should spend money on anything that gives her money, because what she uses it for is to ruin trans people's lives in Britain. she actually just recently intimidated Amnesty International UK out of publishing a totally accurate report about the far-right groups that have been attacking trans rights and attacking the LGBT community generally, and in many cases have also expanded into sort of general purpose racism. And they were kind of pissed off about being exposed as the scumbags that they are. And J.K. Rowling said she would, finance them suing Amnesty UK into bankruptcy for doing the thing that Amnesty UK is supposed to be there for.
With the publishers that they get the content from. So there's also
fuck J.K. Rowling and fuck spending any kind of money that she gets a cut of.
Probably one of the reasons that they never reply to my emails, because I'm pretty blatantly just saying, oh, you can just get this content, just turn the VPN on and it works fine. So in my experience, a VPN works fine. If it hasn't reloaded and it says this book is not available in your region, go back out of the book, connect the VPN, click on that book again. I have found that works basically 100% of the time. Now, I must admit, I don't know which languages are offered by Storytel in.
Okay, so interesting video. Not going to show the whole thing, but I believe I gave yes, I did actually give the link for where you can watch the whole thing. Looks like pretty good advice here. Where shall we go next? This tree-shaped pattern makes you speak any language. And it's all he does is like superficial variations on the exact same approach that makes absolutely no sense. 英語イマージョン、そのやり方危険です。なんで危険なの？日本語をイマージョンで覚えた私が落とし穴3選を解説。これは、じゃあ、見てみましょう。これは全力外人でっちゃんというチャンネルなんですね。じゃあ、イマージョンの、の落とし穴。についての動画をちょっと見てみましょうね。日本語のコンテンツだから日本語のに切り替えています。イマージョンで成功する人と失敗する人の違いは何ですかって。
人と失敗する人の違いは何ですかって聞かれました。すごく面白い質問だなと思って、今日は取り上げさせていただきたいと思います。で、イマージョンというのはある程度流行ってるキーワードじゃないですか。
そしてイマージョンというのはちょっと不正確なところがあります。イマージョンで習う、ある何かしらの言語を習うとか、そういう話し方は流行っているんですけど、イマージョンとイマージョンは違うもんなんです。つまりその理解可能なインプットでイマージョンをするのは適作と言っていいと思いますけど、その伝統的な考え方のイマージョン、つまりその言葉が通じてる国に行ってそこで生活したりすることはあんまり効率的なやり方じゃありません。だって ゼロからする場合は何もわからないから言葉全然通じないという状態でそこそれが国語となっている国に移り住むことは効率的じゃないと思うのが普通なんです。つまり大体の人は言葉の通じない人に対してその人英語とかその人の母語に切り替えるのが普通なオチなんです。
聞いたことある人が多いかもしれませんけど、なので流行ってるからこそちょっと、いろんな解釈があるというか、深くなる人が多いと思うんですけれども、イマージョン、私が思うにイマージョンは単純にその言語に触れまくることですね。
その言語に触れまくるということ。つまり通じてる国に移り住んだりするとかそういうことじゃなく目的語のでの動画を見たりするとか本を読んだりするとか音楽聴いたりするとかそういうようなイマージョンの解釈を採用しているようですね。
英語を覚えてるのであれば英語をたくさん聞いてたくさん読む、英語に触れまくる、英語漬けの生活をできるだけ送るっていうだけの話なんですね。なので、人間はインプットで覚えるから当たり前ですけど、
それは一番大事な単語なんです。その理解可能なインプット、コンプリヘンシブルインプットというのが適作なんです。適作とはというよりは一番大事な材料という方が合ってるかしら。つまりそのインプットそのものが方法ではなくそのインプットで何をするかが大事になってきます。
英語に触れ続ければ上達は必ずするんで、イマージョンには失敗はないというふうに断言させてください。いろんな意見があると思うのでどう思うのかちょっとコメントしてほしいんですけど、ただね、その上でじゃあイマージョンをこういうふうにやったら、こういう考え方でやったら、失敗までいかなくても上達がかなり遅くなる、挫折するかもしれん。
えらく同時を踏んでみても失敗はまずないでしょうね。それは正しい、その考え方が正しいと思います。ただ上達を緩めるとかちょっと妨害したりするという考え方があっているでしょうね。つまりその方法的には方法論的にはなんか教科書伝統的な教科書を使ったりするような土地を踏んだらその方法を変えて問題が解決できるわけなのですので失敗はないけど上達妨害というようなことが生じて解決しなければならなくなるというような言い方が合ってると思います。
ないっていう、注意点が3つあるかなと思うので今日は紹介させていただきたいと思います。1つ目は消極的すぎる。
多くの人がイマージョンとかインプット入力という単語を聞いてただぼーっとしてテレビの前で画面の前でスピーカーの前でぼーっとしたりするようなやり方を連想させますよね。つまり自分の脳みそで働きはせずただ見まくったり消極的に自分から考えずに いや見まくったり聞きまくったりするようなやり方が連想されますよね。でも、だけどさ、一番大事なのは積極的にそのインプットとエンゲージすることなんです。つまりその画面に映ってるものを全部を見て話を聞いて、これは積極的に理解しようとするようなやり方は適切だと言っていいと思いますね。
2つ目はつまらなすぎる。で3つ目は、
つまらないコンテンツ、つまらないインプットでは居眠り、するのがオチなんです。
期待値が高すぎるです。
期待値が高すぎる。
2つ目は
といった
つまらなすぎる。で3つ目は期待値が高すぎるです。それぞれ説明していきたいと思います。で1つ目は消極的すぎる。コンテンツに対して消極的すぎることですね。とりあえず英語流しておけば勝手にいつか分かるようになるだろうっていう受け身体制が少し危険です。
その聞き方とか見方とかそういう問題もありますけど、選択の問題でもあります。例えばの話ですけど、英語を習おうと思ってなんか英語での憲法解釈論についての講座を見てはあんまり期待はできないんですよね。だって専門用語ばっかりで抽象的な話ばっかりで自分の英語力のレベルが低い場合には大体の用語は全然わからなく目に見えたりするコンテキストが応援に来ないということもありますから、そんなインプットではあんまり上達はしないと言っていいと思います。でも英語の CI コンプリヘンシブルインプットの動画を見たりするとかその英語の全然通じない A1 の方々向きのコンテンツを見ればちゃんと積極的に見て理解全部をその見えてる映ってる全部聞こえてること全部を吸収しまくろうとすれば必ず何かを理解するようになって必ず何かの支えとはいえ何かの上達はすることができるようになると思います。
楽しすぎず頭もちゃんと使う必要があります。英語を、イマージョンって言ったら多分英語のドラマを見るとか英語の YouTube を見る
ゼロから習おうとしている場合はそれを避けた方がいいと思います。それを主要なインプットにするのが適切ではないと考えます。だってわからない方がずっと圧倒的に多いということもありましてさ、面白いという側面もありますけど、でも理解可能なインプットじゃないんですよね。ゼロから習おうとしている人間にとっては。だからそれを主要なインプットにしない方がいいんです。そのゼロからやってる方々にとっては。
ポッドキャストを聞くっていう風にイメージする人が多いと思うんですけど、これがもう本当に流しっぱなしの、BGM 化しすぎて、もうそのコンテンツを理解しようとしない、関わろうとしない。
全く得にならないとは言わないんですけどね、私は。つまりその言語の言葉の流れとか発音とか、その感じになれるようになるんでしょうね。それも利益になると思いますね。英語などの外国語を習おうとしている場合は。でも一番効率的なやり方ではないと思います。英語で話せるようになることはまずないんですね。BGM 化すれば。
わからないところを調べようとしないっていう受け身の体制が大きすぎると、ちょっと効果が遅いのかなと思います。イマージョンは大きく2つに分かれると思ってまして、アクティブイマージョンとパッシブイマージョンですね。アクティブイマージョンはちゃんと聞いて、理解しようとする。そのコンテンツに集中
それが得策
と向けている、イメージですね。パッシブイマージョンは他のことをしながら、例えば皿洗いしながらとか、別のことをしながらちょっと BGM で
決して悪くないんです。でもやり方とそれを主要な語学作にすればあまり上達はしないんです。だからそのアクティブ積極的なインプットの積極的なイマージョン、アクティブイマージョンをすればより理解力が上達し、だんだんその話が通じるようになりますの。まず最初はですね、消極的に通じるようになりますよね。つまり自分で口を開いてなんか英語で言おうとするのはまだシェイクスピアが出ないというようなシェイクスピアのような英語力が現れないとはいえ、その脳みその中に、頭の中に理解するようになっている分はだんだん多くなってくるというわけなんです。
英語のポッドキャストを流してるっていうイメージですね。パッシブイマージョンがダメではないんですけど、そればっかやっていれば上達が遅いのかなと思います。ちゃんと関心を持ってそのコンテンツと積極的に関わる時間を別途設ける必要があります。これアクティブイマージョンなんですけども、英語の映画を見ているのであれば、集中してちゃんと
リンクをチャットにちょっと入れておきます。
聞くのもそうなんですけど、この単語を
ちゃんと集中するのが本当に重要なプロセスの一部なんですよ。
も出てくるなとか、このセリフ理解できた気がする、ちょっと字幕つけて確認しようとか、その程度の積極性でかなり変わります。そういう姿勢だけで自分の脳がその言語を吸収しようとするんですね。でそれをやった上で英語を BGM みたく流すような、パッシブイマージョンの時間があると、それは価値がありますよ。アクティブイマージョンの補助になるというか、でもパッシブだけではいけないですよということですね。でここで
パッシブでは流れとかその聞こえ慣れる聞き慣れるようになるんですけど、それも上達につながれなくはないのですけど、それはその不可欠条件はですね、そのアクティブイマージョンなんですから、量をする方がずっといいと思います。
おすすめなのはパッシブで聞くような英語BGM みたいに流すような英語はできるだけ理解度が高いものを選んでほしいかなと思います。集中をあまり向けなくてもかなり吸収できるような、シンプルな英語、自分のレベルに合ったような理解度の高い英語にしてほしいんですね。また英語、
そして自分の興味に向いているコンテンツを探すのも本当に大事なんです。本当に上達したいしたいなら、つまり料理に興味を抱いている場合は英語での料理動画とか英語でのなんか料理のやり方を教えている動画とかそういうことをそういう動画とかそういうコンテンツを使うのが適切だと思います。ゼロからやってる場合はまず理解しない方が圧倒的に多いと思いますけれどもB1 とかそういうレベルでは本当に役に立つと思います。私はいつもグルジア語カルトゥベリ語を習うときには料理動画を使って大いに使ったんですけど大いに勉強になりました。
初心者なのに難しいじゃあ政治系のポッドキャストを裏で流しても本当に脳が離脱してもう全く入ってこないと思うんですね。そもそも取っかかりがないような自分のレベルよりずっと高い英語なんで、じゃあビギナー向け英会話みたいなそういうかなり理解できるような英語を流すといい。
そして初心者向けの英語の試合インプットの動画はYouTube が溢れてるんですよ。
なと思います。
溢れ返ってい
逆
ます。
にアクティブで聞くような英語は理解度をあまり気にせず楽しさ重視で選んでもいいと思います。要するに、自分にはちょっと難しい英語だけどもうこのドラマがアクションがあるから面白いとかそういうのを選んでもいいと思います。なんでかというと理解度が低く
居眠りしないのはそれももうプロセスの大事な側面なんです。
でもアクティブだからもう字幕つけて知らない単語から調べ出したらいいと思うので自分の調べる作業で理解度を補えるじゃないですか。わからない単語を調べたりとか。でもパッシブはもう調べてられないというかもう本当に流すだけなんでそこはもう流すだけではある程度
ちょっと次の落とし穴につまらなすぎるそのつまらなすぎるという落とし穴についてちょっと
はい、2つ目はつまらなすぎるですね。ものって面白くなければ続かないじゃないですか。特に
そして集中もできなくなります。全くつまらないつまらない動画とかつまらないオーディオブックとかそういうそんなものには全く集中できなくなりますよね。居眠りしちゃいます。だからその言語をその言葉を吸収するには適合していないと思います。そういう目的には適合していないと思います。だからそういう研究結果ももうありますし、だから自分の興味を抱いているコンテンツを使ってインプットを吸収しようとするのは適切だと思います。
イマージョンっていうのは1週間だけやればいいってもんじゃなくてもう何時間も多分何百時間単位でその言語で過ごさなければいけません。つまらなければその場で挫折するじゃないですか。なので今日も楽しくやれて明日も楽しくやれる明後日も楽しくやれるっていう仕組みを作らなければいけないんですね。なので
いい眠りせずに楽しくやり続けるのも大事なんです。
ここで見るコンテンツは楽しいものでなければいけません。もう趣味のものを見る必要がありますね。なので英語で見るコンテンツを選ぶ際に理解度重視より楽しさ重視で選ぶ。
理解度と面白さ楽しさの両方重視するのが適切だと思います。 でも理解できるつまらない話はあんまりためになりません。
なんだらいいと思います。なので例えば理解度 70% ぐらいのペパピックを何時間も見るのと、理解度 30% ぐらいの自分の一番好きなアメリカドラマを何時間も見るのとどっちがいいですかって言った時に、もちろんペパピックを本当に好きという人はいると思うんですけれども、本当の人は後者を選ぶんじゃないかなと思います。で
そして第3の落とし穴は期待値。精神的な落とし穴ですね。
はい、で最後3つ目、期待値が高すぎることですね。これがね、一番難しくて挫折する人が多いところかなと思います。先ほども言いました。
いつも速さに集中するような速さを重視するような語学コンテンツがでYouTube も溢れ返っていますから、みんな早く何ヶ月以内に英語ペラペラになるとか、そういうような目的を持っている人間は失望に失望行きなんです。これは時間のかかるプロセスなんです。絶対時間がかかります。本当に上達するには時間がかかるわけなんです。それを避けることはできないんです。それを飛び越すこともできないんです。それは不可能なんです。これは自分の頭の中のプロセスなんです。だからその要素を備えて、その内容的の要素、つまりインプットを備えた後もそのインプットに関わったりすることによって上達を目指すのが得策なんですけど、早く意識できる上達をするのを期待しない方がいいです。つまりこれは自分の知らぬうちになんかどう言えばいいんでしょうか。この言語取得というものは自分の知らないうちに頭の中で続いていく、進行していくものなんです。自分の知らないうちにという言葉に集中していただきたいと思います。つまり自分の意識しているのはこの動画を見てなんとか理解することもあったりして、理解しないこともあったりしてするんですけど、頭の中ではつながりが出来上がってきています。その新しく習った言葉とその言葉の指す意味、その言葉の指す物へのつながりが頭の中でできてきています。でもその出来上がりには時間がかかります。そしてそれは意識するようなプロセスではありません。ですから失望する自分これは適作だから早く、何ヶ月以内に英語ペラペラになってしまうというような期待を持っている人間は失望しか期待できません。いつも自分の知らないうちに進行していくプロセスで時間のかかるもんでもありますから。
けど言語を覚えるのに何百時間単位でたくさんの時間を費やさなければいけません。こ こういう人がいます。イマージョンやってみたけど全然効果なかった。英語流しても聞き取れるようにならない。じゃあどんぐらいやりましたって1週間足らんわって話ですね。1ヶ月でも足らないし2ヶ月でも足らないです。だってネイティブスピーカーなんかは自分の母国語でどんぐらいの時間を過ごしたかって想像したら当たり前じゃないですか。
Yeah. Well, okay, it is time for a quick bio break. I will be back in just a few minutes and we'll see what else we're going to look at. Quick bio break.
Hey, implicit connotations. I'm Elise from the CROWDFUNDED Translation Project, and wanted to just tell you a little bit about what that project is and give you some updates about what I've been doing with your support. The Inessa Armand project. After finishing Kalantai's social basis of the female question, I put out a call for suggestions for the next project. One of those suggestions that I received was to translate the essays and letters of Inessa Armand, Kalantai's predecessor at the Bolshevik women's section. Suppressed by Stalin and never translated into English, Armand's writings enrich our understanding of the Bolshevik women's movement in the run-up to the October Revolution and the early days of revolutionary Russia. With your support, I have been able to translate all of her extant essays and am currently raising the last $1,950 to cover the cost of translating the remainder of her extant works, which at this point is just her correspondence. If you would like to support the project, all contributions are beautiful. You'll find links in the description. The Punto Final project is a project that is really just at its inception. Punto Final, for those unfamiliar with it, i.e. likely most of the people watching this right now, was a magazine edited by Manuel Caviese Donoso that ran from 1965 to the eve of the 1973 CIA-backed coup in Chile, and then from 1989 to 2018, publishing a grand total of 894 issues. In addition to being a platform for theoretical and ideological debate, they were also a source of excellent political journalism. Their real-time analysis of political developments in Chile, the rise of the Unidad Popular, the looming coup, and the limits of electoralism has aged extremely well, and is well worth reading for anyone interested in the period. The Indian left is sort of in a media bubble, and the Anglosphere left really doesn't do a great job of breaking that bubble and really building connections there. So the discussion that you hear in English about Chile, even in supposed left outlets, such as Jacobin, often has little or nothing to do with the state of discussion amongst comrades in Chile. So this is part of my attempts to contribute to sort of breaking down that bubble and fostering some understanding of the thought amongst revolutionaries in Chile, both historically and currently. I have so far translated 7 articles, including a long read on electoralism versus armed struggle called Chile, the Ballot or the Bullet by Punto Final editor Manuel Caviese, and currently am working on various pieces of political analysis from the eve of the electoral campaign that would bring Salvador Allende to power, or at least to government. These include discussions of electoral versus revolutionary strategy and how and to what extent these things can coexist, discussions of US imperialist interference in Chilean politics, one of the challenges of this project, since its inception, has been getting the word out. The billionaire-controlled black box algorithms that dominate our lives don't like small creators or small projects. Nor are they particularly keen on ideological viewpoints that are inconsistent with the whims of billionaires. What's more, they positively detest anyone who isn't paying for reach. And then they turn around and make it ever harder to do even that in a useful way. The result of all this is that there are definitely considerably more people who would be interested in this project than actually see any of my posts about it. And that's why I have a small favor to ask you. Tell your friends about the crowdfunded translation project. Share the completed translations, link the Patreon and the Facebook pages. All those links are in the description. Let people know that this project exists and what it's all about. Let them know that I want to hear their ideas for future crowdfunded translation projects at crowdfunded_translations@elisehendrick.com. And if you've got any ideas, I'd love to hear them. Ultimately, the crowdfunded translation project is for us all. The whole idea is to translate texts that have fallen through the cracks by making it economically viable for a professional translator, i.e. me, to work on them and to make the results freely available to everyone. I think that a lot of great things are coming out of the project, and even more can result from it yet. But it all depends on making the project visible to the people who might benefit from it and consider supporting it. Thank you for watching for this length of time. I hope you found it interesting, and I hope that it will encourage you to get in touch with the crowdfunded translation project, look at our translations, to get in touch with, to get involved with the crowdfunded translation project. Make suggestions, read the translations, let people know that this exists. This could be a great resource, but it's been a real fucker trying to get the word out about it. So thank you very much. Even watching this and commenting and leaving a like and sharing it on your platforms, or even to yourself in an email apparently, will help increase the visibility of this video and thus of this project. Thanks so much, and see you on the next stream. Thank you very much. Even watching this and commenting and leaving a like and sharing it on your platforms, or even to yourself in an email apparently, will help increase the visibility of this video and thus of this project. Thanks so much, and see you on the next stream. Hey, implicit connotations. I'm Elise from the Crowdfunded Translation Project, and wanted to just tell you a little bit about what that project is and give you some updates about what I've been doing with your support. The Inessa Armand project. After finishing Kalantai's social basis of the female question, I put out a call for suggestions for the next project. One of those suggestions that I received was to translate the essays and letters of Inessa Armand, Kalantai's predecessor at the Bolshevik women's section. Suppressed by Stalin and never translated into English, Armand's writings enrich our understanding of the Bolshevik women's movement in the run-up to the October Revolution and the early days of revolutionary Russia. With your support, I have been able to translate all of her extant essays and am currently raising the last $1,950 to cover.
And I'm back. Good tea. Okay, so where shall we go next?
So how do you find audiobooks in the language?
Oh, no, we already watched that. Okay. Let's look at Mikel. I did 10,000 hours of comprehensible input. Here's what happened. Now, Mikel is another of these people who increases people's expectations and has this whole idea that you have to do this fast for some reason. And all sorts of things that basically involve rote memorization are how you go about doing it fast, supposedly. So let's have a look at what he's saying here, because he's never had much nice to say about comprehensible.
10,000.
Okay.
1,000 hours of comprehensible input in French.
Okay.
I've read hundreds of books. I listened to audiobooks, radio, TV, podcasts, everything. And now I can understand native speakers talking at full speed, no subtitles, no problem. And I can also read novels as fast as I read in my own language.
Okay. I feel like there's a but coming in here, because he's never previously said that comprehensible input. He always says it's too slow or something like that. So, I mean, I will note he's a native Spanish speaker. I think he's a native speaker of Basque and Spanish, so, which is definitely very helpful when learning another Romance language. Because you're not entirely starting from zero, but okay.
And in this video, I'm going to tell you about this learning journey, how each stage went, what results I got, and more importantly, what you can learn from this. Let's start from the beginning. I started learning French in university. 4 years of classes, twice a week.
Hey,
in a room with
Riveroon.
over 20 other students, taught by a really old school teacher with really old school methods.
Which is kind of funny to hear from him, because his methods, the ones that I've seen him describe on this channel anyway, have been pretty old school. It's been like, okay, learn a whole lot of high frequency phrases and stuff like that, for the most part. So, okay.
Grammar tables, conjugation drills, fill in the blank exercises.
Oh, hello, Riveroon's protege dog.
You know exactly the kind of class I'm talking about because
I was just watching our dog's tongue flitting under the bathroom door on my break, because her dinner is sort of distributed as kind of a scavenger hunt. It's just sort of thrown on the floor so she can go look for it, because she likes to chase after and scavenge things. And some of it ended up in the bathroom, and it's always fun when it does, because she has a very long tongue for such a small dog, and so she can sort of stick her tongue under the door and grab them, and it's quite fun to watch, because all you see is this tongue coming in.
almost everyone has sat through one of these classes.
Yes.
I did 4 years of this. Not 4 months, 4 years. And at the end of those 4 years, my French was still basically non-existent. I was decent at passing exams because I had done hundreds of multiple choice exercises and I knew how to guess my way through a grammar test. But
I mean, I would imagine growing up in Spain probably helps you out a little bit with that.
when it came to actual conversation, actually understanding a native speaker, talking at a normal speed, nothing. Zero.
Yeah,
I
mean, this does not surprise me. I was calling it a data type mismatch. Hey, Ata, how you doing? So, in a really kind of surprising turn of events, Mikel, who has generally not had very good things to say about input-based methods and has mostly talked about like memorizing high-frequency phrases and stuff like that, seems to be doing a video talking about what good results he got doing, 10,000 hours of comprehensible input in French. So,
and of course,
I'm curious and surprised.
I couldn't speak either. And here's the thing that made it worse.
Pretty
I ended
good.
up hating French. because the classes were boring.
Yeah.
They felt disconnected from anything real. And honestly, I only kept going because I needed the credits. And French became this subject I associated
Yeah, I mean, that is one of the things that these sorts of methods really excel at, is associating the language with failure and boredom.
with boredom and failure. Even though
I did not watch this video. I did not watch this in advance. That was just entirely just perfect. That was just pure like serendipity that I came up with those specific words, and he then said them immediately thereafter. I did not plan that.
and this is important, I live right next to the French border. I
Yeah.
had the language sitting right outside my door for my entire life. And 4 years of formal education still left me at 0. And this was, by the way, the experience of the rest of my classmates as well. I don't remember a single student from that class being able to speak French fluently after 4 years of class.
I mean, unless there was like a French student in there who was just taking it for the easy credit.
So the classes clearly failed. But later, at some point after university, something changed. Living so close to the border means that we pick up French TV stations here, alongside the Basque and Spanish ones. And I started watching them, almost by accident at first. But later on I found some French magazines, and they looked
Yeah, I would imagine that's probably pretty easy to get. I mean, he's in the Basque country, so I mean, there are tons of French people who just come over the border, and the other way around too. Because I mean, the Basque country actually extends into France.
interesting, so I started flipping through them, and I realized something surprising. It wasn't nearly as hard to read as I expected, especially when the content was actually interesting. And
Yeah, I mean, this is all true. I'm just like, what I feel like there's got to be another shoe dropping, because I've literally never heard him speak this way of comprehensible input, and I'm curious where it's going. Because like the main thing he's been doing lately that I've seen, he's been doing these collabs with that Tony Marsh dickhead who has new superficial ways to reinvent the same useless method of supposedly learning an entire language in any language in 5 minutes or whatever. Which,
around that same time, I came across the idea of comprehensible input. I was learning other languages, and I was searching for a better way to learn languages because classes clearly weren't working. I already knew from experience that the classroom
I mean, I
method-
will say, classes are getting a bit of a beating in here. There are input-based classes out there. There are input-based teaching methods like TPRS and things like that. So it's like, if you're taking classes that take these sort of conventional models, you're going to run into problems. But there are classes that will actually do an input-based approach that can be quite helpful.
wasn't working. It had failed me and everyone else, so I was looking for something else. And that's when I found the work built around Stephen Krashen's comprehensible input hypothesis. The idea that you acquire language primarily by being exposed to it and understanding it, not by memorizing grammar rules. And I went all in. I started watching French TV every single day. I put on French radio in the background. I read anything I could.
Wait, at the same time as watching French TV? That sounds like a lot of like auditory clutter.
Get my hands on. First magazines with lots of drawings, but eventually also books, real books, novels as well. Not just children's books, graded readers, all that stuff, but real books by native speakers, for native speakers. At first it was hard, and I was looking up words constantly, but eventually things started clicking. And
Okay, I mean,
finishing your first book
I'm
in-
just I'm kind of like at a loss here because I'm so primed because of everything else I've seen him do. When I saw him have a video title, I did 10,000 hours of comprehensible input in French. And here's what happened. He did AFAT. He did all French all the time. I was expecting him to say it sucked or something.
a language, a real book, really feels like an accomplishment. It took a
Yeah,
while,
it
but I
absolutely.
managed.
The first time you do that, it definitely does. Where it's like where you pick up something that is not, especially like my approach. I do a lot of reading very early on. Like the first book I ever read in French it was actually La Firme by Jean Grisham, the French translation of The Firm. I believe that was my first French book. It might have been something else. It might have been a Stephen King. But it was a translation of a book I knew well, because that is kind of how I started a lot of languages, because I find it works really well for getting sort of an early, getting some kind of early entree into the language, because you get, you know what's being said, and then you can focus on how it's being said, and you pick up a lot. You understand lots and lots of messages. But, you know, when you switch over to a book in your target language that you do not have this relationship with, that is a challenge. And you have to, and when you do that for the first time, it is an absolute achievement.
To do it. The second one was way easier. And the third book I read after that was even easier. And the next one after that was even easier. And I kept going, book after book, until I had read over 100 books in French. And between that and...
I'm curious how long that took. That's a lot of... I don't keep track of the number of books I've read in any particular language, but that's a lot.
The listening, I had put in thousands of hours of comprehensible input in French. And the results in terms of comprehension were genuinely impressive. I could read French as fast and as easily as I read Spanish, Basque, or English. I could listen to native speakers talk at full natural speed. I could understand it effortlessly. But if you had asked me at that point whether I was fluent in French, I would have said no. Because after thousands of hours of input, after reading over 100 books, by every measure, my comprehension was at least C1 level.
Okay.
But then, when I actually...
I mean, the question that immediately arises, if he's at this level of comprehension, I would imagine he was also, like, having, you know, spontaneously thinking in the language. Because you can't get to this level of comprehension without having thoughts in the language. I don't think that's possible. Because it means your brain has actually wired an area so completely to engage with French that it would just be a thing that spontaneously happened. I would be very surprised if it didn't.
To speak with native speakers, that's when the real problems started. Because I live right next to the French border, so I don't just consume French media, I run into French people regularly. And every single time
you had to exchange insurance information.
I found myself face to face with a native speaker of French. Something strange happened. I understood every single word they said to me, but I couldn't produce a single sentence back. My mouth...
Yeah, I mean, you have to get used to it. I would imagine, again, that probably he had a lot of... there was a lot of internal French going on at that point. But being, you know, so he was probably formulating thoughts in French. The question is, like, how many of them was he verbalizing?
It just didn't work. I knew the words, I understood the grammar, I had read literal novels worth of vocabulary in French, but when it came time to actually speak in real time to a real person standing in front of me, I froze. Nothing came out. Or what did come out was slow, broken, and nowhere near the level of comprehension that I had built.
Yeah, well, I mean, and the thing is, the thing that is often misunderstood, I keep coming back to it because it's just important to keep saying it. Just because speech emerges doesn't mean it's going to that it's going to be great. You're not going to start you know, the first time you start speaking, even no matter how well you're comprehending it, it is probably going to be awkward. You're probably going to be struggling, and you know, the question is where you do that, you know, initial sort of struggling with your first experiences of speaking. I mean, one of the things that I've always liked to do when I read is just read aloud, so I'm kind of used to my mouth getting around it. And watching, you know, content in languages, and then I, you know, yell at the screen or whatever in, you know, that language or whatever. But because it sounds like he was doing all of this stuff, he was absorbing all this stuff, but he wasn't necessarily actually vocalizing a whole lot. I guess you could say verbalizing for what's going on in your head without it actually being vocalized. So vocalize is the word I was really looking for there.
This, by the way, did not fix itself after 1 or 2 awkward encounters.
Yeah, it wouldn't, because you're doing this for the first time. It doesn't sound like it doesn't sound like he was doing a lot of like sort of self-talking or anything like that during this process. It would, this is it necessarily takes time. All of it takes time.
This kept happening over and over again for years. Every trip across the border, every French tourist I met, every opportunity to actually use the language in real life, I always had the exact same problem. Full comprehension, almost impossible to speak. And eventually I came to a conclusion that makes a lot of people very uncomfortable. Massive amounts of comprehensible input on its own does not teach you how to speak.
Well, it depends on what you mean by teach you how to speak. This is the challenge in any kind of discussion like this. It creates the infrastructure that makes speech possible. It makes, it creates that back end, all of those connections that allow the words to have meaning, and creates that sort of familiarity that allows you to actually produce them. But that doesn't mean you're going to immediately be producing them beautifully. I mean, some people might, but probably not, really. That is, that just necessarily takes time.
It helps you understand, but those are 2 different skills.
Not as different as he often makes them out to be. Not as different as a lot of people perceive them as being. Because both of them rely on this back end. But once you actually have that back end built, if you're not doing anything with it, you're not going to get better at actually producing.
Built through 2 different kinds of practice. And nobody selling you the input method tells you that part. So what did I do? Well, practice. And nobody selling you the input method tells you that part.
Well, wait, okay, hang on a second. What did he say? I knew there was going to be a but here.
Had the exact same problem. Full comprehension, almost impossible to speak. And eventually I came to a conclusion that makes a lot of people very uncomfortable. Massive amounts of comprehensible input on its own does not teach you how to speak. It helps you understand, but those are 2 different skills, built through 2 different kinds of practice.
I mean, they are not, okay, they're not as separate as he's making them out to be, but I missed a thing that he said.
And nobody selling you the input method tells you that part.
Okay. Yes, we had to get at some point. So some point when he would say that people, first of all, the input method is already kind of nonsense, because input is not the method. Input is the ingredient that allows a method to be useful at all. But the second thing is, do people, now I will agree that often the discussion of speech, emerging does not actually, it can lend itself to misunderstandings. And I think talking about exactly how that happens and how that works and stuff is very important, and not enough is done about it. But these things are not totally separate. The reason that you have any basis for being able to produce the language is that you already have the infrastructure for using it, for producing it. You have the infrastructure that allows you to comprehend it is the infrastructure that allows you to produce it. These are not separate things, but yes, obviously, I think to anyone who thinks about it for more than a minute and a half, you do not immediately start speaking perfectly. You have to actually get used to doing it.
So what did I do? Well, I had to go back to the drawing board and figure out what was actually missing.
I mean, he didn't really have to go back to the drawing board, though. Going back to the drawing board would mean not comprehending anything. He's already starting from a place where he has enough of a mental model of French that he, by his own account, understands at least a C1 level. That's not going back to the drawing board. That's just recognizing that there's an aspect of this that you have not done enough with.
And here's what I found. Understanding a language is a receptive skill. Your brain is decoding something that's already there. Speaking is a production skill.
Wait, you didn't know this already, though? I mean, that's just kind of obvious, but the question is...
Brain has to generate something from nothing.
Yes, but it can't generate something from nothing. It has the reason you have to actually have something there in order to be able to generate it in the language, unless it's just meaningless noises that you're making.
In real time, under pressure, with almost no time to think. And the reality of it is that you can build one of those skills.
Yeah, and you can't do any of those things. All the stuff that he just described just make clear the importance of building the infrastructure that he clearly built through all of that comprehensible input.
For thousands of hours, and it will do almost nothing for the other skill. That's not a motivation problem or a talent problem. It's simply a completely different mechanism.
No, it is not a completely different mechanism. It engages, on the front end, it engages mechanisms like the mouth, and there's also a psychological aspect to all of it. You have to build up the confidence, which is challenging. Those are true, but it isn't totally different. It is a different application of the same underlying mental model of the language.
So I stopped waiting for speaking to just emerge on its own.
It clearly had emerged, is the thing. This is the mistake that, and again, I will say, this is a mistake that has been made in explaining this as well. Because, again, people get this idea that speech emerging means that, you're learning Spanish and then one day you're just like, me amparo en la quinta enmienda porque mi abogado me ha dicho que no debo contestar a esa pregunta, señor juez, y por lo tanto voy a valerme de mi derecho de guardar silencio. You're not going to the idea of speech emerging is not the same thing as like that level of sort of refined speech. It emerges and it's going to be awkward, like as it does in our first language as well. I mean, when speech emerges, it generally isn't particularly refined in our first languages either, because you still got to actually build up that muscle memory. You've got the infrastructure to do it. Now you can say the stuff. You have stuff you can say, but you've still got to actually, you've still got to actually talk.
Just by getting enough input, and I started doing deliberate practice. I started using language islands. Here's what it looked like in practice.
Oh, wait, okay, so this is something I've never heard him say before. He's talked about language islands as if it's just the thing that you automatically do. It's, this memorizing high-frequency phrases that you think are useful for you, or something like that. But I've never actually heard him say, first you develop a C1 level of comprehension, and then in order to learn to speak, then you do these language islands. That's in order to actually help with your production. That's a different matter entirely. These are two totally different applications.
I sat down and wrote exactly what I wanted to be able to say in French.
And now the question to me is, when he wrote it, he hasn't said anything about writing. He said reading was fine. He said, listening comprehension, C1 level and everything. How hard was it to write it? Because if you were finding, because this is actually goes straight to the point that I'm trying to make here, which is, I would not be surprised if he found that the writing wasn't actually all that hard either. Because he's got enough of a model of French in his head that he has the words, he has a whole lot of words, he has a whole lot of structures and things like that. And he probably could have written fairly fluidly.
Real situations, real topics I want to talk about. The actual sentences I needed for my actual life, not some generic textbook dialogue. And once I had all those sentences that I needed, I started drilling them out loud.
Okay, in a language, let's remember that he already has C1 comprehension in. That is important. That is a huge difference between somebody starting from zero. Because he literally already has the back end. He's just, this is just practicing the front end at this point. This, I mean, it's just like people train public speaking in their native language all the time. Because if you want to get good at actually speaking off the cuff, speaking extemporaneously in a way that is engaging and fluid and does not involve a whole lot of hesitations and running out of words to say and stuff like that, that's something that takes practice. So what we're talking about is actually a totally different thing than what I've actually heard him say previously.
Over and over again. And I started translating them from my language into French, and then checking if I said them correctly or not. And I kept doing this until I could produce them instantly, without translating in my head and with...
Okay, so he had to translate them in the first place despite having that level of comprehension. That's kind of surprising.
Without hesitating. Alongside that, I did a lot of shadowing, listening to native speaker audio and speaking along with it in real time.
Okay, but again, I mean, all none of the like especially shadowing, I am actually something of a fan of. But what's remarkable about this is he's described speech emerging. He thinks that he hasn't. But what he's described is speech emerging, and when it emerges, you're not very confident in it, and you don't, and it's awkward, and you can't always find the word because you're not used to doing it. And these are things that are very useful to do once you've actually reached that stage, which is very different from the way I've ever seen him present these things previously.
In the rhythm, intonation, and the pace. I kept doing this until speaking French stopped feeling weird. And whenever I actually got the chance to talk to native speakers, of course I used it. Even though living next to the border doesn't mean you get unlimited free conversation practice. Because real speaking opportunities are limited. Even if you live next
I mean, I will say there is benefit to even the sort of limited kinds of things that you can get if you're just like ordering a coffee or buying something at a shop. Because even that can help you kind of develop certain routines in the language. Like, I mean, there's a Tesco where I used to live in Cardiff, and the guy who worked the till was Greek, and so we would do the whole thing in Greek, and the result of it is I got very used to speaking Greek in that context. You know, that actually kind of helped because I have sort of this very weird and limited knowledge of Greek. I have never really gone very far with it. But, you know, I have some. And so even those sorts of things can kind of help you develop confidence in the language. And a big part of what he's talking about here is psychological. Because it's one thing to have all this comprehension, but you still have to have the confidence to be able to go up to somebody and say, ah, bonjour. Est-ce que vous savez exactement comment je peux arriver à Limoges? Or something like that. You know, you have to have that kind of confidence to even be able to begin developing the competence. And the things are kind of, it's a feedback loop.
Even if you live in the country, you usually have to go out of your way to create those opportunities to talk to people. But if you've prepared for real conversations, you'll make sure that you use every single one of those chances much better, and you'll get a lot more speaking practice out of them. So
I mean, one thing I would actually suggest when you get to this point, because again, now, this is the thing that is just wild here. I have never heard him actually state what kind of stage he was at when he started doing these things. The stage he was at when he started doing these things, I would say, is actually a little bit later than when I would start. He hasn't really talked about what was going on in his head other than the receptive aspect of it, which is extremely important. But I would imagine he probably was already thinking to some extent in French well before any of this. And the thing is, anyone who has actually thought of things to say and then tried to say them when the occasion arose knows that just because you can get through it in your head does not mean that you can actually get through it when you're actually face to face with the person you're trying to say it to. Even if it's something really basic, if you're not used to doing it. So, it is interesting the things that he's kind of omitting here. I'm not like suggesting any kind of ill intent on his part, but it's like what I want to know would be important to hear, especially from a learner's perspective, is a description of the sort of internal state. You know, were you having phrases that you had not previously heard spontaneously show up in your head? You know, were you having thoughts just formulate themselves in French without you deliberately trying to do so and stuff like that? Those things matter. Because if you're doing that, that is actually, I would say, the time that speech is ready to emerge and you can start actually effectively doing things with it.
Drill your sentences. And when you find yourself in a real conversation, you'll be able to speak. And the conversation will keep going much longer. This way you'll get a lot more speaking practice. And your confidence will skyrocket.
And yes, but only if you've already developed the internal receptive aspect of it to a certain point, because otherwise this stuff is still going to be meaningless to you and you're not going to understand what comes back. What he's been describing here is a situation where you absolutely can, where he totally was understanding the stuff that was coming back to him, but he couldn't get it started. And that's a very important distinction. Oh, wow. I was just talking about earlier when I was looking at the video Days and Words and audiobooks, and they kept on being focused, shots of J.K. Rowling books in there, because they're always, all these audiobook sites market the shit out of them. And a good friend of the stream just sent me this. Remember when a UK bookstore offered visitors the opportunity to vandalize Harry Potter pages for 25 pence? They raised over £4,000 for trans healthcare, and now, oh wow, very cool. I mean, very cool, because I was saying, like, don't send any money her way, because she is actually very explicitly using it to hurt trans people in Britain. And somebody's apparently raised a whole lot of money just for very cheap allowing people to vandalize her work. I think that's lovely.
This combination of pre-built language blocks you can pull out instantly, active recall to burn them into memory, and
of course, I mean, he's the way he talks about this, you would think these things are totally separate and that you could sort of develop the one without the other. But that these things are totally interdependent. These things are all stemming from the same thing. The reason that any of this works is because of what's already in his head from all of that comprehensible input. And when he tries to make it about, like, the thing that the people trying to sell you the input method don't tell you, and make it seem sinister like that, is just such nonsense. Because these things are not separate, and the skills, they in fact are totally interdependent. And, the stuff that he's describing will work very well, I think, if you already have reached the level that he says he had in French. But not very much if you're at 0, because even if you know these phrases, that doesn't mean you're going to be able to understand what comes back to you. Now, here's another thing that showed up in my Rex. This is from something called Samurai Flag. A Samurai Channel, apparently. See, for people who don't know about this, when Japan started being reopened to, Western influences back in the late 19th century, a whole new genre of fusion cooking arose there called yoshoku. Yoshoku is essentially, it's fusion cooking. It is what Japanese cooks did, using their they brought their culinary sensibilities to all these Western ingredients that were showing up. And one of the best known examples of Yoshoku is what's called Napolitan. Napolitan, as the name suggests, sounds like Naples. It is a sort of pasta-ish dish, but really not. And so this is a video, Italians experiencing Napolitan. And I thought we might have a look at this because it is like the sauce involves ketchup, for example, just to give you an idea. And I've never really had it, but my understanding is it is not a very al dente approach to pasta. So I thought we might have a look at this. Okay, these are all Italians having Napolitan.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, well, those are very thick noodles. I love thick spaghetti, personally. Oh, okay, and we have octopus-shaped, I think those are hot dogs in there. The sauce, she just found out that the sauce is ketchup. Well, the base of the sauce. Says, if you tried to sell this in Italy, you'd get your ass kicked. Okay, she's considering ordering a Napolitan. Okay, here we get a look at it. I mean, a lot of it, it looks kind of familiar here. I mean, you've got the onion, you've got some sort of peppers, but then there are also like octopus-shaped hot dogs and other surprises.
This is Japanese food, actually in Yokohama. You were all in Yokohama, and this is Yokohama's and Tokyo's soul food. Japanese people like pasta, yeah, they love it. It's especially Napolitan.
Really? They need to find.
Okay, I'm curious how they react. So far. Okay, she liked it.
I like it.
Oh, it's spicy. Okay, I did not. The versions I'd heard were not particularly spicy.
So you think it's similar to pasta that you know? You know?
Yeah, okay, says it's not bad. Okay, and they're like suspecting that maybe it is not made with tomatoes. Which is not entirely true because it is made with ketchup. Hey Badger, how you doing?
I don't know the specific
Oh, they're digging it actually.
This place. This pasta born at a hotel in Yokohama. Then a chef made it. It was first after the war for the soldiers, and then someone was like, "Oh, it's good." Originally, it was just tomato sauce because I think after the war, like it was cheaper.
The guy with the beard apparently. The guy with the more full beard was suspecting it wasn't made directly with tomatoes. Apparently he's from Spain, and now he's doing a victory lap because he identified it.
It became, now I think it's Congo, so each place has their recipe there. So then amaku nai. Kaya no ketchup kara ni chiga. I like it. Ketchup in the pasta.
Yeah.
Why?
Okay, oh, she's trying different... Okay, there are multiple groups of Italians that she's introducing this to. So, okay, let's see. So this one, actually, they were kind of digging it. So, let's see the next group. This is Futagumi. Okay, somebody's apparently a little bit afraid. This is Shibuya. Home to that intersection that is always used in movies when they want to tell you it's Tokyo. The one that kind of looks like a much more hectic Times Square or like young Bloor Square.
Ciao! Konnichiwa, hi! Good to see you! How are you? Here we have Lucrezia-san. Hello!
Okay, we have Lucrezia. For this is the second group of Italians.
I'm from Italy, and I just finished a tour around Japan with a group of Italian tourists. Today is my last day, so I'm curious to see what's going on.
Oh wow, this is gonna be your last day in Japan.
Okay.
Are you hungry?
Yeah, a lot.
Amazing. So today I want to introduce you to Japanese Western food.
Yeah, yoshoku. This is a whole genre. They do all sorts of interesting stuff. There's some... And interestingly, recently on Netflix, the Japanese shows on Netflix have often ended up focusing heavily on yoshoku. There seems to, I don't know, there's some sort of, like, it's having some sort of a cultural moment, I guess, in the arts. Because I've seen multiple shows where the plot is centered around yoshoku dishes like hayashi rice, which is a rice dish, or, or actually Napolitan specifically.
It's like Japanese touch on it. So ingredients wise it could sound Western, but it's actually made in a very Japanese way, and it's a place that Japanese people love. So it's a Japanese lunch place, basically.
Wow, amazing.
And I think it's inside a building. It's also my first time. I'm excited to try out some interesting stuff with you. So now
Okay.
So okay. Hey, so
Estaremos un segundo, mi firma, puedo echar en inglés.
Having eaten at a Hardee's, I have to say, Badger, I have been disabused of the notion that if somebody is serving it, it must be good enough to eat.
So yeah, we're just gonna have a look at the menu. This is, have you heard of omuraisu?
Oh yes, one of the hardest. This is also another yoshoku thing. This has definitely been having there's so many videos about omuraisu because it's like rice that it has been encased in an omelet, and apparently it is extremely challenging to make.
Like maybe you saw on some picture, it is like rice covered with egg and a sauce, and then when you open it, haven't tried in Japan? Okay, so that might be interesting. Then there's one thing I want you to try.
Oh yes, okay, here we go, the Napolitan. I'm gonna skip ahead to where we actually... Yeah, here we go.
Is Napolitan, nothing related, and we don't have anything as Napolitan pasta in Italy, so they're not trying to imitate Italy's, Japan's soul food. Hi.
Interesting way to describe it. Japan's soul food. I wouldn't have called it that. It's sort of, it is fusion cooking, but from the other angle is what I would call it. Because it is, our, fusion cooking here is you have these ingredients that have come from like East Asia or India or wherever. And then, Western people put their sensibilities on it, and frankly, I have to say a lot of the times they just fuck it up. But, this is where people in Japan are taking, took ingredients that were introduced to them in the port of Yokohama, which was one of the major places where, like, Western goods first entered the country in any amount, and started to do the exact opposite. Although, on a certain level, in roughly the same way you could say that some people would probably also say they kind of fucked it up, but I'm not saying that. Oh, American I don't know. There are some good pickles here. I actually had a fried pickle last week. It wasn't bad. It was very salty. Though I have to say, my favorite pickles really would have to be Polish. Polish spicy pickles are amazing.
A lot of people, they go for omoraisu and this pasta. Like there's places that only make this.
Maybe I prefer to take one of this and one of this.
Okay.
And then we can share
I
it.
think that our food is coming.
Okay, so
Very beautifully presented here. Like with the, I mean, that's peppers and onions on top of it, a bit of a caramelization. Very pretty. I mean, I remember the first time I'd heard of Napolitan, there's a whole show that I ended up not particularly liking because it had a very creepy sort of, the main characters were just assholes, kind of. And not in an entertaining sort of a way to me, anyway. And the guy was, the main characters, his whole thing is he has this amazing Napolitan recipe. And he starts describing it, and there's like mayonnaise in it, and it's like, okay, interesting. What is this? I had not actually heard of it before. I hadn't really had yoshoku when I was in Japan.
wow.
It's like, okay, interesting.
Wow, it's so nice that they always give you this.
Yes.
I love it.
Yeah, I've always been a fan of that too.
It's like everywhere. I mean, now it's like springtime, so it's So
Okay, here we go. Let's see how she reacts.
your blunt comments.
I like it.
Oh, well.
I thought it was worse than this.
Okay.
That's an endorsement. I thought it was worse than this.
But it's good. I like it.
How
It's
is
sweet. I didn't expect this flavor. But what is this like? Like pork?
So, no, that's yes, sausage, onions, mushrooms should be somewhere.
Never had Japanese mayo. I don't think I ate anything in Japan that would have been served with it. It was mostly Japanese food, and a whole lot of donuts, actually.
And peppers. As for this pasta, again, it's called Napolitan, but it was born in Yokohama, which is a town near
Yokohamitan.
Tokyo.
Yeah.
Post-war meal when they had like little ingredients and someone commissioned a chef.
Okay, so now I'm kind of curious. Have we got another group here? Sangumime. Okay, let's see. So far, everybody's liking it.
ナポリタンを作って家族に食べさせたいです。
Oh, she's okay. So she's going to feed Napolitan to her, I'm guessing, Italian family?
今日は私ランチを作ってあげるので楽しみにしてね。
Yeah, Japan has an interesting approach to pizza. I remember I brought home with me a pizza menu that had just been attached to a box one night because there were so many quite unexpected things on it. Like whole hard-boiled eggs and lots of corn.
って言っただけなんですけど、実は何作ってるとか何入れてるのか全くわからないんです。これは日本から持ってき
Okay, the ketchup.
ました。ナポリタンの一番美味しいものは日本のケチャップなので、絶対日本のを使ってみて。
Oh, okay, so it is specifically Japanese ketchup. Interesting. I don't think I've ever actually had specifically.
たいですね。
Okay, so okay, this is being prepared in Italy. Wouldn't surprise me if it. I mean, they do have. I don't know if they call it. I don't think I've heard it called yangshik, but there is like budedige. Army. What they call in English, army stew. Which is. Oh, you're talking about corn in pizza? Yeah, entirely possible. Wouldn't surprise me at all.
一番スペシャルなものですよね。
mayonezu ka? No, that I'm not sure what that is. Okay, but that's Parmigiano Reggiano. Okay, so we're getting an Italian take on a Japanese take on Italian food here.
Lavi, sei pronta?
Sì, devo parlare italiano?
Okay, they've switched over to Italian. So she's been asked if she's ready.
Senza carne, eh?
This is meatless version because she's a veggie.
Sì, sì, ho visto.
Vedremo.
Non è male.
Non è male.
Not bad.
No.
Oh, there's a cat.
Ti piace? Devo sentire i funghi.
Trying the mushroom. You're not gonna lie, I'm mostly focused on the cat at this point.
Buona?
Yeah.
Sai come si chiama questo piatto?
Come?
Napolitan.
Napoletano?
Sì. Lo sai che quel sugo in realtà è ketchup?
She's now been informed that the sauce is ketchup.
Dai, però è buono, no? Perché hai fatto quella faccia?
She's asking why she's making that face.
E poi perché non si può sentire, dai, a cucinare il ketchup, però...
Yeah. It is simply unheard of to put ketchup on pasta. I will say, in the neighboring country, Austria, it is heard of.
È buono.
Quindi te lo mangeresti?
Sì,
Lo ordineresti al ristorante in Italia?
non penso ci sarebbe. Sì,
Lo ordineresti al ristorante in Italia?
non penso ci sarebbe. Sì.
She asked if she would order this in a restaurant in Italy, and she's like, "Yeah, absolutely, no way that would go."
Ok, quindi diciamo che è superato.
Sì, sì, ti devo passare la forchetta. Esce ketchup.
Non è neanche io l'ho assaggiato.
Dai, non pare ketchup.
È buono però.
Sì, non pare ketchup.
Mazza è buono.
Yeah, they're saying it doesn't taste like ketchup,
Mi è venuto molto
which I guess it must not have, because she did not immediately say, "Wait, this is fucking ketchup." She had to be every single person we watched was unaware that it was ketchup until they were told. Apparently, well, I mean, maybe they suspected, but they didn't say anything. So apparently, Japanese ketchup does not. I've never had specifically Japanese ketchup, so I'm very curious about this now.
こちらは私のお酒です。
Oh, what does she got here?
イタリアのリモンチェッロをちょっと変わって柚子バージョン。
Oh, okay, interesting. This is limoncello, but made with yuzu, which is Japanese citrus.
乾杯。乾杯。
Yuzucello.
Da cucinare?
Sì, anche da provare.
In Giappone non c'è il pomodoro?
La Napolitan nasce in Giappone.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it isn't as sweet. But okay, so not as I was expecting more appallment, but everybody was actually chill. I've been curious about it for a while. I haven't actually made it before. But okay. So where shall we go next? we're running out of time, but we have here Kevin with more of his just wonderful approach, and now he's adding in all the videos calling people fake teachers, which I think is very special. Although the way this thumbnail is done, it looks like it's saying fake teachers stop learning garbage, like an indicative. People called Romanes, they go to the house.
For everyone, where we practice real life American English.
Okay, now he's back to that same intersection. He's recycling scenery now.
And today we're going to learn some real life American English. So let's get started.
Like, if you're gonna do this, why not, find exciting scenery? Not just a fucking cul-de-sac and a T-junction?
I want my teeth very white.
I will say, I've done laser whitening. It was like thrown in. I had to get dental implants because of a disaster with a dentist in Cincinnati who completely fucked up my mouth. And I had to go to Peru to have the implants done, and they offered to throw in whitening, so I figured, why not? And I have to say, Jesus Christ, that hurts. Is the laser for like an hour after you do the laser whitening, I'm wincing just thinking about it. If you get any cold air on your teeth, it is the most fucking intense pain ever, and they can't give you anything for it because the pain is apparently how they tell when they've done enough, which is great.
You want tooth whitening?
Yeah.
Wait, I want my teeth very white is wrong? And you have to say I want teeth whitening?
I mean, I want my teeth very white. Sounds a bit weird, I will say. But I thought he said tooth whitening. Yeah, okay. I will say, not the greatest English learning advice I've heard today, but is he maybe getting more discerning about these things? Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Yeah, I mean, that's what gets me about what gets me about that video is he's referring so many things back to, back to the method, when it's just actually very much just the normal sort of frustration that one incurs. Hello, holy as DFG. Welcome. I don't think I've seen you before. Wait. This is why... Okay, interesting. This is why the Illuminati rules. Stupid people who can't even read a book and remember word for word. Like, what? What are we talking about here? This is... Okay. Holy as DFG. This is a very bizarre contribution you're making to my channel here. I don't think most people... I think it's actually fairly normal for people not to have 100% recall of every single word that they read, actually. That is unusual. Oh, like, in what way did it make you rethink your Korean journey? I'm curious now.
This is not true. You can say I want my teeth white.
Yeah, I mean, I don't... Yeah, I mean, that it is... It's kind of a weird way if you are going into a place to ask for whitening to say, to say that, but...
It's not incorrect. It's fine. I want my teeth white.
It's so weird that he will occasionally do these things where he actually does point out that a correction is incorrect. I will say the only way I was able to go through all of the dental work that I got was oral midazolam. That shit is absolutely incredible because it's like you're conscious. You have recall of what went on, but somehow it makes you forget that this is actually traumatic and vaguely horrifying. You can actually sit there as they put all these power tools in your mouth and like fucking saw away at you, and it doesn't freak you out. I mean, they also did an amazing job with the pain management, I will say. But the anxiolytics were next level.
I want my belly flat. I want my hair curly.
Thank you for sharing. Ata says, it made me realize I was processing stuff just fine with regular ups and downs, also remembering that we're not as in control of the process as we think. Yeah, I mean, those are important things, because you can easily get this idea when people say, when people hear that something's a really good method, that somehow means that you're just going to be able to do it straight off, and it's, going to be obvious when you're making progress and stuff. And it's just on how brains brain things.
This is fine. Maybe it sounds a little better to say to be. I want my teeth to be white.
I don't necessarily think it sounds better. I feel like the use case is a bit different.
But they're both correct. Example, she wants her teeth white. Very white.
Okay.
You mean you have a toothache?
Pain in my tooth is fine. Let's watch some clips.
Yeah, okay, let's watch.
Oh, you mean you have bad breath?
Wait a second. You can't say I ate something with garlic. You have to say I have bad...
Okay, I mean, the whole bit actually strikes me as a bit odd already, because it's like, I mean, I don't even think that's corrections there. Wait, okay, let me watch that again, because now I'm thinking he's like totally misinterpreting the entire thing.
Pain in my tooth is not wrong. Let's watch another clip.
Open really wide.
I can't. I ate something with garlic.
Oh, you mean you have bad breath?
I don't think he's correcting her at all, actually. I think he's paraphrasing. Because there's no way that somebody would think that I have bad breath is the correct, that it's wrong to say you ate something with garlic in it, and that the way that you say you ate something with garlic in it is to say that you have bad breath. I don't think that's what's going on here at all. I don't think he's actually correcting her. I think they're paraphrasing.
Wait a second. You can't say I ate something with garlic. You have to say I have bad breath?
No, I don't think that is in fact what they're saying. I think he's summarizing what she meant to say by informing him of this.
That's not true. You can say I ate something with garlic. There's nothing wrong with it. I ate something with garlic is fine.
Yeah, I mean, I would say I ate something with garlic in it, or I ate garlic. But I don't think that that's what's going on here in the first place. Like, does he think that... Does he...
Example. She ate something with garlic. Let's practice.
Well, wow, that's such a great example. That all you did was just change the fucking subject pronoun.
Did she eat something with garlic?
Apparently.
That's right. She ate
Like, I mean, what gets me is he's calling... First of all, I think he's wrong about what's going on in this video. I think that these are paraphrases or summaries. She's saying something and he's summarizing what she means by it. But the other thing is, this is what they're doing is there's way more effort goes into it than any aspect of what he's doing. I mean, yeah, the production values, you have to come up with the clips and all that shit. But in terms of the actual teaching, way more goes into that than what he does, which is just he doesn't even come up with like interesting example sentences. It's just the sentence that you already heard and then you repeat after him.
Garlic. And does she have bad breath? I have no idea. Let's watch another clip.
Well, I mean, clearly, when you actually look at it in context, though, she was saying she had bad breath, because that's the only reason you can't open your mouth wide if you ate something with garlic in it. I mean, obviously, that was the point of her saying that, because he said open wide, and she said, I can't, I ate something with garlic, and he said, oh, you mean you have bad breath? Like, this is not correction, this is just paraphrasing. Like, what the hell is this even?
I want you to listen to this video and then pause it every 5 seconds and try to repeat what I've said with exactly same intonation.
Okay, so shadowing. And we're in a Spanish-speaking place, judging from that sign here.
I guess it describes
Oh, estamos en Montevideo.
culture before Spanish people fought here.
All right, I don't understand this one.
Same intonation. I guess it describes Uruguayan culture before Spanish people fought here.
Yeah, I'm actually not entirely sure what he said there. There are lots of, I mean, I feel like that was probably an electronic, you know, text-to-speech, I mean, speech-to-text algorithm that came up with folked. I don't even hear a K in what he said, so I'm not sure what the hell that was.
All right, I don't understand this one.
I mean, I think you do understand it, though, Kevin. I think you do understand it, because we all know what verb would go there. We all know what he was trying to get across, even though it was not actually clear what he was saying, and the subtitles were no help at all.
It describes Uruguayan culture before Spanish foe here? It sounded like he said before Spanish people foe here.
Yeah, but he probably didn't say that. It was... Yeah, and people like stumble when they talk off the cuff all the time. Like, this is what he's dedicated his life to this, and what's most bizarre about it is they got hundreds of thousands of fucking subscribers doing this. Why?
I don't know what he's talking about.
I mean, Kevin doesn't know what he's talking about a lot of the time. But I think you do know what he's fucking talking about here. Even if you're not sure what the verb he was trying to say there is, very clearly it's before, like, Spain colonized Uruguay. That is very clearly what this is about. It's just not clear what verb he was going for when he stumbled and said foe.
Watch it again.
Look at the painting right there. I guess it describes Uruguayan culture before Spanish people fought here.
So it sounds like he said it describes Uruguayan culture before Spanish people fought here.
Yeah, still not sure. Like, I've heard it 3 times now. I'm still not sure what he was saying, what word he was using, but it's very clear what he meant to be saying. But it is also clear that it is time to wrap up for this week. Thank you to everyone who joined in. I hope you enjoyed the stream. I'm glad that Evil Dia video yesterday... Yeah, but that's not a verb, and he didn't have a K in what he said, so I'm not sure about that either. But in any case, I'm glad that Evil Dia video yesterday and it was kind of useful as a source of perspective and stuff like that. I was hoping that I could kind of use it for that. And I will be back on Friday at 4:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, and I look forward to seeing you all then. Time for me to do something about eating dinner food things. And yes, Kevin.